Hello everyone and welcome to the Tank 500. No, not that tank, the car brand Tank. A big Chinese SUV that promises to deliver you on quality, space, comfort, capabilities, and one that comes at an affordable price. So in today's video, we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this Tank 500. So this Tank 500 is offered in two different variants, which is your Signature and the Prestige. The Signature being the lower variant, whereas the Prestige being the top variant. So the one that I'm reviewing is the Prestige version. So on that you get this big chrome grille out here, lots of chrome actually, and pretty big chunky chrome grill, and not even like a small one. Even at the bottom there's a chrome strip that goes from one end to the other. This chrome Tank logo out here. There's this plastic trim that has been given. You would think that's like a slot, but it isn't. It's just like a step out here that has been given, and when you see it from the side you realize how big and chunky this radiator grill is. And out here you would find these fog lights that are given, and these fog lights are the LED fog lights. They are also the cornering lights when you are driving around, so you have these automatic headlights. I'm going to come to that. And in terms of the approach angle, you have a 29.5 degree approach angle on this 500. When you come to these headlights, you get an LED headlight cluster, completely LED headlight cluster, and on top there are these rings and a strip that is the DRS, which is LED, and at the bottom you get the turn signals, which are also LED. And as I mentioned, the whole headlight cluster is also dynamic and it's automatic, and these combined with these fog lights also gives you the cornering lights and everything. And there is also a camera that has been given out here. That camera works for all your safety systems and adaptive cruise control, and also informing you where the traffic is, on showing it on your screen where the cars are, basically on your driver's display. So it's useful for all of that purpose. But the whole car actually looks quite beefed up and pretty muscular that way. There are lots of strong lines out here on the bonnet, and when you look at it from the front, you realize how big this thing is, which is what you want from an off-roader. Now on the sides you get 19-inch alloy rims with this Tank badging in the middle, and then pretty thick arches in here, and then at the bottom there is just like a small skirting that has been given. It's not actually a skirting, but it's just that the frame and the door sort of angles inside, and that's about it. And in terms of these side mirrors, you get body colored side mirrors and black at the bottom, glossy ones, and one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. And these side mirrors are power foldable. They are also power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning inside them. There's also a turn light that has been given. There is a full chrome surround around these windows, and when you look at it from this portion, like the half of the car from the back, you start to realize like it resembles a few other cars that way. I don't know, let me know in the comment section below. There are also these roof rails in silver color that are given. Even in the back, 19-inch alloy rims and more thicker arches that are given out here. And when you come to these doors, these are keyless entry doors. There's half chrome on them also on the top, and then when you open, you have this electronic sideboard that pops open, and it's in a bit of a rush sometimes to just close it immediately, like it doesn't wait for another second or two. So I decided, what if I was standing on it, will it even close again if I stood on it and closed the door? Let's just hope it doesn't. Well, it doesn't. That's the thing. Then when you leave it, it just stays like that. So just open and close it. But there's also an option inside the infotainment screen. So if you don't want these side steps to pop out, because obviously that reduces a bit of your height, but then you're not going to be driving it with that on because it automatically goes in there. But if you don't want them to pop out again and again, if you're doing off-roading and if you're on a dune or something, then you can switch that off from inside the infotainment screen. Also on this Tank 500 you get dual fuel tanks. So if you run out of your main tank, then there is also a sub tank where you have that spare fuel that has been given, so in case you go off-roading there is a bit of that juice left. You also get a 4-wheel drive on this Tank 500. Now out here in the back there is a lot going on that way, but let me begin with these tail light, so you get a completely LED tail light cluster. Even the turn signals and everything is LED, and then there is this chrome surround around these tail lights also, and one big chrome patch that continues from one end to the other. There is also this GWM Tank that has been put on this spare wheel cover. So your spare wheel is attached to this door. So I'm going to come to the door itself because it doesn't open upwards but on the sides, and then you have this big extension of your number plate out here. It's a little bigger, sometimes it looks slightly odder that way. At the bottom you have this silver color bumper that has been given, and in terms of the departure angle it's 24 degrees, and there is also a spoiler that has been given that houses your brake lights. Also in terms of the visibility, it's kind of restricted because there are passengers that are going to be sitting in that car, and there are also thick pillars on both the sides, so that reduces your visibility, but it's kind of all right. And yeah, you still have that 360-degree camera system when you want to maneuver around or in your car park or anything. So because when you're turning around at lower speeds, the side cameras automatically turn on your screen, so you don't have to look anywhere around. So that's one cool feature. Now in order to open this boot door, there is also half chrome on this door handle. So it's an electronic door, so you press the button and it releases the door and you open it on the side. So massive door that opens on the sides. There are scuff plates out here in this metal plate that has been given so as to protect your bumper. On this door itself there is a bit of a storage that has been given, and also a cover for your release cable, so in case that electronic thing stops working you can remove this, and you are greeted to this space out here which looks slightly smaller right now because the third row of seats are up. You can put like your shopping bags and stuff in here, that's about it. There's also a bit of a raised floor out here, so there's like a double step in here, so you really have to lift your luggage in order to put it in there. And the reason this step exists out here is because this model is also offered in a hybrid variant, and the batteries usually sit out here, which is why there's that space that has been built into this one. But otherwise inside there's a boot separator that cleverly sits in there, like nice neat setting that has been given a proper space so it doesn't consume your existing step, and on top of that nothing is used for that. And that boot separator you can use when you fold down these seats. There's are slots given on both the sides, so you just put it there and then you can utilize it. Now the third row of seats are foldable in a ratio of 50:50, and in order to fold them down, here's the best bit, these are electronically foldable seats. So there you go. Let me do the other one and show you. It's a pretty convenient feature. You can even lift them up electronically but let them just go down. It's a little slow that way, but yes, once you fold down the third row of seat, the floor itself is super flat, so it's not going to consume a lot of space, and it's going to be easier to just remove your luggage in and out that way because there's not an additional step apart from these two. And now I don't know in terms of liters, but there is decent amount of space where you can put like easily 4 big bags in here, yeah, like vertical fashion, or a lot of your stuff. There are also more plug points that are given. There is a 220 volt 400 watt plug point that has been given. There are these buttons to fold down these seats. There are more straps out here to put some load or luggage or whatever you want to tie out here. And apart from that, there are also points that are given on these seats, so they, once you fold them down, they become your tying points, and even on the sides there are more points that are given. Now the second row of seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40, but you can fold them down from the front, so there is no button or anything for that. So I'll just fold one of it and show you. Again, when you fold down the second row of seat, there is a bit of a slope upwards when you fold down the second row, but again there is not like a step, so it's smooth and gradual, so it's going to be easier to slide your luggage in and out. And when you fold down the second row of seat, it is humongous space that you get on this thing, obviously because this is a big SUV. There are some small arches in here, but that's about it. And once you're done, this actually gives you like a very big opening also, because the door opens on the side, so you get this massive opening in here, and once you're done you just slam the door and close it. Now welcome on the inside of this Tank 500, where you would actually start noticing the actual premiumness inside this car, because there is everywhere like quality material that has been used, and the fit and finish actually is pretty good. In fact, if I had covered this badge, a lot of people would get confused as to which car exactly this is, which will be way more expensive, because this car, this particular top end, comes in at 195,000 dirhams, and for that you get this level of quality on the inside. So let me begin with the dashboard. You get soft touch material out here with this purple color leather that has been covered with the white color stitching. Even on the door cards there is leather covered material. On the sides there is diamond quilting in this tan color Napa leather that is given. Even out here there is orange color soft plastic though. Even on the sides, leather covered Napa leather, and the seats are again tan color Napa leather. Steering wheel leather covered, even the center bits is all leather covered. This gear stick, fancy one, again mixture of plastic and leather. Even the plastics that have been used are pretty quality, the glossy plastics in here, silver color ones. And then you would notice there's this plastic trim that resembles like a wood, but I mean it's alright to just elevate the level of, you know, luxury that ways to show, but it's still good. Like the quality of it, it's given on the door cards, dashboard out here, and even on the other side where the speaker grill is, that's like plastic, but good quality plastic. Grab handles, so when you go off-roading you can grab onto them. They are given in the front and also for the second row of passengers. So yes, material quality is rather good. The only place where I did not like it is where this charging pad is, because that rubber pad feels a little less quality for sure that has been given. And not just that, when you try to close this door, it's jammed currently, it doesn't close. You have to give it a push and then it closes, and then if you want to open, it's a bit hard that way. So that's the thing. At the bottom you would find normal plastic, but again that's soft touch plastic, slightly softer touch plastic that you get out here. Now when you come to the driver's display, you get a 12.3 inch digital driver's display, which is pretty crystal clear and very visible in the daylight. Also there's very minimum amount of reflection on it, and on your screen you would find, like on the left side there is digital speed, on the right side all your information and everything that you would like to see while you're on the move. So the thing is that there is no different sort of setup for this cluster, because you don't get round dials or anything, because I am sort of a fan of the round dials, which I like, but on this there is no option like that. You can only see it digitally, but it's all right. And in the center there is the safety information, like the lane, or if you are doing a cruise control, the adaptive cruise control, it will show you vehicles in the front, the system, safety systems, all of that, and where the cars are around you. It will even flash warnings for you. So all of that is shown in the screen in the center. But you can also change the layout of this screen by going into the setting, into the personalization. Then there is the driver screen display, where you can even go into the off-road mode if you ever want to go in there, and then you can see all your pitch angle, roll angle in the center, your diff locks and your tire angle, steering angle, then your compass and everything that has been given. But I'm going to come to that later once I show you what the exact off-road modes are on this one, because there are lots of off-road modes that you get on this 500. Now the information on the right side can be changed using the buttons that are given on the right side of the steering wheel. So your first option is your RPM counter, then you have the mileage, your average speed after start again your fuel economy, then resetting your fuel economy, what are you doing, and then instantaneous fuel consumption, then your odometer, and then your tire pressure monitoring system, then the engine temps, oil temperature, pressure, everything, and then you are back to the RPM counter. So that's your driver's display that you get. There are also, by the way, mood lights that are given on this Tank 500. They are given in this door cards, out here in the dashboard, even on the other side, and out here in the dashboard there is like star lights that are given, and even in the rear passengers there are mood lights given in the door cards. And one more thing is that when the door is open, those mood lights on whichever side the door is open, those would keep flashing to tell you that the door is open. That's pretty clever. But in order to change all these lights out here, you can go into the vehicle, then the lights, the ambient lights, and here's where it's very interesting, because you have the surface light, which is this. So currently it's in the flowing light, where you select a few colors and it flows in that white, red, green and blue color sort of flowy design out here. But if you want to keep it in a rhythm when the music is on or video is played, then it would mimic according to that. It would dance around. And then if you want to keep it solid colors, single color, you can do that, or multicolor, where it would automatically keep changing different colors, and that's on just this one. Then you come to the main ambient lights, that also you can have in rhythm, single color or multicolor. And there is also option of breathe, where it would sort of animate itself around inside the car and go around. So lots of options just for your mood lights that are given on this 500. Now when you come to the steering wheel, you get a leather covered steering wheel, which is pretty nice and big and chunky, and it's got the white color stitching in here. There are also paddle shifters that are given, plastic ones, but alright, not too bad. Again, the quality is pretty decent. And the steering wheel is electronically adjustable, which is your tilt and telescopic. Big tank logo in the middle. Even the middle bit is covered in this purple color leather along with the white color stitching. And then there are buttons given on both the sides. So the buttons on the right side are given for changing the information on the driver's display, then your home button and the back button. And then there is also a star button that can be changed from inside this infotainment screen when you go into the personalization, and there is an option to customize the steering wheel star button. And on the left side you would find the buttons for your media controls, volume, mute and everything, pick up the phone and everything. But the thing is, the buttons actually don't have any markings. That's the thing. So you would just tend to get confused as to which one is for volume or track change. Of course, the up and down is for volume. Eventually you will figure out, but everything has just the same sort of arrow design on it. And there is also a button plus that has been given, that also again can be changed from this setting inside the personalization, where you can customize your plus button to do your phone 360 parking. Currently it's in that, the surround view, then the intelligent parking, AC mode if you want to, or the steering wheel on the star button on the right side can change the same sort of things, but you can customize which button tends to do what. So then you can customize. When it comes to this gear stick, if you notice, it's a pretty cool looking one, and it's ergonomically, for some reason I find it pretty handy. I like the design of it, and it's pretty easy to just use. It's straightforward into D, your neutral, your reverse, and then your park. You can use it in like this, like so many ways. You can just flick it in here, like like multiple options that you can use out here. And there are more buttons that are given out here at the bottom for your differential lock. On the right side for low, the rear diff, front diff, all of that, electronic differential locks buttons that are given. There are more buttons given out here in the front, the off-road mode if you want to switch to directly while you're on the move. So yeah, there are also these sounds that sort of play every time when you enter inside the car, when you interact with the car. So yeah, that keeps happening. Now there's also a clock that is given out here, and it's illuminated in white color, and it's got GWM Tank badging inside. And yeah, that's a neat feature that has been given. These air conditioning vents tend to be a little on the lower side, which is what I find, and when you adjust the flow of air, it tends to not come too much up, and when you keep it down, it almost cools down this gear shifter. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, so there are mixture of physical and on-screen options that are given on this Tank 500. So there are buttons given out here to switch the air conditioning on and off, to change the fan speed and your different modes, so wherever you want to put the flow of air. Or you can go from inside this infotainment screen, and then you can change the temperature on both the sides. So you get tri-zone air conditioning system on this Tank 500. At the bottom you can change the fan speed and everything. Slightly louder it can get. And on either side you would find the settings for the ventilated cooled seats that are given on this. And not just that, you get ventilated seats for the rear passengers also. I'm going to come to that too. So you can change the different levels of lower levels on your ventilated seats. There are also buttons given out here to switch that on while you're on the move next to the gear stick. So that's your air conditioning control. Then there is also the option for the rear air conditioning. You can control that also from here. Your fan speed, you can switch on the ventilated seats from here, the temperature that you can change. And one more feature is there are 3 dots on this right corner. When you press that, you get fragrance inside this system. So you get Boss Blend, Refreshing Breeze, or Chasing Waves. You can customize what you want out there, what sort of smell you want in your car, and the level of fragrance, like low, medium, or high, or completely switch it off. And then even the AC comfort levels, if you want powerful, standard, or gentle. But in terms of the actual air conditioning, right now it's all in the powerful settings, but I found like it takes a little while to cool down the interior, especially because this car is so big. And yeah, the air conditioning definitely needs a little bit of improvement, because it takes good amount of 15-20 minutes to finally start feeling the cooling effect inside the car. So that's the only thing what I noticed from this air conditioning controls. And the air conditioning controls that way are pretty straightforward. The main buttons like your fan and everything is given out here, so you can change it on the move. And also the buttons is given pretty handy in here on the left corner, so you can change them all the time. Now when you come to this infotainment screen, you would notice this massive infotainment screen that has been given on this Tank 500. So you get a 14.6 inch colorful touchscreen infotainment system, and I really like this screen, to be honest, because it's got everything that you need and quite simple that ways to navigate around. Some options which are way too much inside, that's the only thing, but on the upper surface it's very easier to operate. So you get these widgets on your screen for your date and time, your media, your phone, and the radio option. And then there is this car out here. When you press that, you are led into this off-road mode, which is like this screen out here, which shows you your differential locks, what differential locks you have, your steering angle, it moves around on the screen, also your tire pressure, and then your normal mode, what you are in. The drive modes are even shown on your driver's display, also what mode you are in. I'm going to come to the modes, also different driving modes. And on out here on the right side, you see your pitch, roll, and everything. So when you're off-roading, you can see all this. Then you can go to the Conquer perspective, where you will see your off-road bits, where if you want to switch on to the front camera, you can see that. And again, amazing 360-degree camera that has been given on this Tank 500. Super impressed by what this is and what it can do. You can have clear chassis, or you can just leave it in the car mode if you want to see it like that. So all that you can do from here. And then you have the expert mode, where you go, and if you are an expert in off-roading, you can switch it on to this mode, and you can decide what all things you want to do with it. So there is also a high-speed off-road mode, where everything will be customized by the car. So you will have 4 high, your drive mode will be radical, steering will be sporty, and the traction control system will be completely off. Or if you want to have a bit of a fun time with the drift mode, that will switch to the rear wheel drive. Drive mode is radical, sporty steering, and completely traction control off. So yeah, all that you can do from here, or you can just exit and the car will enter into the normal mode also. Now there is a dial that has been given out here to change the different driving modes. So you get your normal mode, then there is the sport mode, then there is the eco mode. All that is also seen on your screen. Then the snow mode, your mud mode, sand, and the 4 high mode. So you can select the 7 different modes that are given on this thing, and the off-road mode that you can switch on to. So that's from where you can enter from this screen from at the bottom if you want to switch it on. And then there are more menu options given on the left side. So the first option is your quick menu, where you will see your car settings for off-road mode. Same again, you can go into that same setting and you can see those. Then you have the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using Bluetooth, USB, and there is wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So your maps and everything is sorted out. There's radio, music, USB, video, phone. Then you come to the vehicle settings, where you will see your in-vehicle settings, your driver's front passenger heads-up display. So you also get a heads-up display on this Tank 500 shows you good amount of information, and you can change all the different adjustments from here. So you can even have these buttons on the left side to adjust the heads up display, so then that would automatically change those settings for you while you're on the move. Or you can have the heads up adjustment from inside the screen. So the level of information is like your speed limit, and then your cruise control, your lane keep assist, and everything that is shown there. And also you can change the color of that heads up display from white to blue mode at night, if that is easier for you to look at. So even that can be changed. The heads up display can be switched off from here, from swiping down from that menu option. So yeah, lots of settings that you can do. Then there is wireless charging, you can switch it on and off. Then the outside vehicle, you can change your mirrors, windows, everything. Then your lights, as I mentioned, personalization, welcome lights, ambient light, then your drive mode, your battery and everything, whatever. Then your next option is your connections, where you will find all your connectivity options. Then your hotspot, sound. So in terms of the sound, you get 12 speaker Infinity music system. It sounds incredible. It's very good because the quality of the interior is very good. The sound reverbs very well inside the car. That's very good. So the display, your next option. Then your personalization, where you can change off-road mode or classic mode, air conditioning, and then your day-to-day settings option. Again, that's the same thing if you go from here, or the connection option, or your settings option, all of that. And then you come back to your home option. Then there is also a drop down menu option, where on here you will find your media, vehicle backlight, navigation volume, then your Bluetooth and all that settings that you can change from here. Your heads up display, your customizations, you can even customize the menu options, whatever you want, you can drop it in here into this option. And there's also a button out here for your, if you notice out here, there's a comfort button. So that button is basically to change the settings of your steering wheel. So you can change it to sport, light, or comfort while you're on the move. Then there is also a button to switch on and off the ambient light. So lots of things that are given out here. Now in terms of the charging, you get one wireless charger that is given out here, and there are two USB ports that are given on the driver's side for some reason. And then there is this partition in between. That USB port is one type C and one normal USB port, and there's one 12-volt power socket. There's one more USB port that is given behind this rear view mirror, and there is also two more USB ports that are given for the second row of passenger, which is type C and normal USB port, and one 12-volt power socket. Now there is also an SOS button that has been given on this Tank 500, and you get a huge panoramic sunroof. I'm gonna open completely, it's pretty hot in here, but yes, you get a big panoramic sunroof. On the base variant you get a normal sunroof. The roof itself opens pretty small that way, but nonetheless you're pretty much going to be keeping it closed. It's just to get more light into the cabin. That it will definitely do when you open it at night or in the day. It's going to feel pretty good in that sense. And then the sun visors, yeah, they are not extendable or anything. Now in terms of the storage, in the door cards you can put about 1 liter worth of bottle and some more storage on the sides, and even those have like carpet lining inside, like to make it feel much more plush and premium. This storage out here where you have the USB ports, but it's only on the driver's side and not on the passenger side. There are these two flexible cup holders that are given. There is this glove box which is again lined with this carpet lining, and then even on the passenger side the same thing. There's also this very slow sunglass holder that you get. You have to open it by yourself then eventually. Even in the rear door cards you can put easily 1 liter worth of bottle and some more storage on the sides, and you also get two foldable and flexible cup holders which are given in the center armrest. There is also another storage that is given out here in the center armrest, where you have this tray that you can remove if you don't want to use it, and you're greeted to this huge space out here where you can easily store like 4 half a liter worth of bottles. And not just that, if you want to remove these cup holders you can even do that. Make sure you store it somewhere. Gosh, this was easy when I did it last time. You have to put this in the back. You can remove the cup holders, and now you have this big storage out here. And the center storage is also a cooled box, so there's a like a flap that is given, so you switch it on or off from there whenever you want to cool things inside out here. So yeah, that's the thing. Let me put this back so that I don't lose anything. And there is also an opening that has been given out here. So let's say if you're charging your phones, you can pass the cable through here, and then you can keep charging your phones while keeping it out here on top instead of keeping it at the down. If it's a little distracting for you because you have to reach out to your phone all the time. Not that while you're driving you should be using your phone, but yes, it still stays in here on top. Now when you come to these seats, you get Napa leather tan color seats on this Tank 500. They are also perforated, they have this diamond quilting design on them, and they are also the ventilated seats. They are cooled ones and they have a purpose, and in terms of the comfort, they are pretty comfortable for sure. They are very nice and comfortable. They have good amount of support underneath the thigh, and even in the back it's pretty good. These headrests also can be adjusted, like in terms of the height or in terms of the forward or the backward settings that you want to do. There is good amount of side support, and even at the bottom there is decent amount of support that you get. And the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 4-way lumbar control electronically, whereas the passenger side seat is 6-way electronically adjustable. Now in the second row, things are pretty spacious, so you get good amount of knee room out here, about full palm worth of it. There are these seats that are curved, so they give you that extra bit of knee room. The headroom is also pretty good, somewhat about 6 feet will be able to fit in here that ways, and you can even slide your legs under the seat during the longer journeys, so you can stretch them a little bit, but you sit quite low down into these seats, and which is why you get that extra bit of headroom. And also, if you can make out from my legs, yeah, they don't have a lot of support underneath my thigh because I'm sitting quite low down into these seats, but the seats offer the same level of comfort that was given out there in the front too. So you get the perforated seats out here in this tan color Napa leather, and they have this diamond quilting out here with the white stitching. And as I said, these are the cool seats, so the buttons are given out here. I'm going to come to that. And the seats themselves, as I said, are pretty comfortable, and you can even adjust the backrest if you want to take it a little bit in the front or put it in a much more relaxing position. You can do that. It goes really back, yeah, so you can lie down very well, and you can even slide them ahead, and then it reduces your knee room obviously. But if there are passengers in the third row, you can give them space. So, or if you want to put more cargo by folding the seats third row down, then you can do that also. But yes, you have the option of sliding these seats and adjust the space that is given inside in the car. There are rubber mats that are given, so yeah, when you go off-roading or something, it's just easier to clean these mats. There are sun blinders that are given to give you that extra bit of privacy out here in the second row, so they are on both the sides. And then you get the same level of materials out here, leather covered door cards out here, tan color leather, then this plastic trim that resembles like wood around these switches, at the bottom just normal plastic. So yeah, but overall I'm pretty impressed by the quality, that's what I can tell you, because usually in the second row the quality is like takes a nosedive, and then you have like normal plastics and everything. But on this, yeah, still that same level of luxurious material has been continued out here. Even in the seats you get this plastic trim which resembles like the wood. And in terms of the middle seat out here, it's plain, and there is only like a very small sort of step out here in the middle row. But when I sit in the middle, the seats are pretty comfortable that way. There's not much of a hump in the back, so the middle passenger also can sit in here quite comfortably. But if there is no passenger, then you can drop down this handrest, which is pretty big and pretty convenient, and you have the foldable cup holders, so they are also flexible ones. But yeah, this is such a cool idea. I really like this. Again, that's a good level of premium touch that you get on this thing. And then you put that away. You get your air conditioning controls out here. So there are vents that are given out here in the center. There are 2 more vents which are given in the roof, and 2 more vents given for the third row of passengers. So everyone gets air conditioning out here, this Tank 500. And in order to change your temperature and everything. Straightforward buttons are given on and off. Then you can change the temperature from the left side, your fan speed from the right side, and then there are two dials that are given to switch on or off the cooling seats. So the second row of passengers also get the cool seats. That's a feature that's pretty premium, and it's a very expensive option that usually you get on very expensive cars. So on this you get it as standard at 195,000 dirhams. 195, that's pretty impressive. In terms of the storage, as I said, you can put 1 liter water bottle. Again, there also you have this premium carpet lining, and these seats also have extra bit of pocket storages, flexible ones on both the sides, the driver and the passenger. Even on the other side you can put same amount of storage. You have these two cup holders. So yeah, in terms of the space also it's pretty good. But overall, you know what, I like the space setup out here. You are sat pretty comfortable in here, and you can enjoy this view from these big windows of this Tank 500. Now in the third row of seats, things are a bit tight, I would say, because as you can see, I'm sitting way too low down onto the floor, and the floor itself has been raised, which is why you can see the angle that my legs are making. But you get the same tan color Napa leather seats out here with the diamond quilting design. They are perforated, but this time they don't cool or heat anything. It's just for the design purposes. And there are two headrests that are given, but when you raise this headrest up, there's like normal plastic in the back, and once you like try to put your head and rest it against that, the lower back, like the upper back, actually sort of slots into that slot where the headrest was, and that makes things a little bit awkward. There are big windows that are given on either side, and let me fold down this seat, second row seat, show you the actual knee room that you get on this thing. Now let me put it where it was originally, and then you can see there is just about enough room out here for my knees. They like one finger, just that much of room. And the headroom, again, I am kind of brushing my head against the ceiling, so someone about 6 feet will be, yes, sort of brushing their heads against the ceiling, that's for sure. And the thing is that you can adjust the third row of seat, and also you can slide the second row of seat and get extra bit of leg room. But I just wanted to show you when the seats are pushed all the way back, how much room do you get. You can definitely get more room when the second row seats are pushed forward. But there are also buttons given out here to electronically adjust the third row of seats. So there are buttons given out here. You can see my backrest. Yeah, you can fold them down from here, or the right seat that you can fold from here, so you can adjust the backrest on these seats electronically from here. There are also two slots given on either side, along with the normal cup holders for the third row of passenger, but there are no USB ports that are given for the charging. And one more thing is that, let me put that other seat and show you. So there is no way to fold down this bigger part of the second row of seat, so you cannot get in from this side, so you can only get in from the right side, and there is a lever that is given, so you press that and fold down and slide the seats ahead, and then you can get out from there. So yeah, that's one more thing, you cannot get in from either side. There is only right side that you can get in and out of this Tank 500. So let me begin this drive test by showing you all in an off-road setup, because let's be honest, you're going to be taking it around in something sort of similar areas that I'm going to be showing you right now. Dune bashing, yes, you can do that too if you want to, but then you need proper tires and you have to remove it, and I'm alone and I don't want to get stuck. That's the thing. So let me put this car in the sand mode, or the mud road. Actually, even the mud mode is fine, and then we go. And I actually want to show you the engine, gearbox, how it responds, and also the suspension on this thing. Oops. Yeah, for some reason it's just revving high. Now one good thing is that whenever you're at lower speeds, you get this 360-degree camera system that you can switch on to, so that gives you good amount of view around what's there around the car all the time. Now when I go into this sort of environment where it's like loose mud and stones, the car actually performs very well. The suspensions are so compliant. You get such a comfortable setup on this thing. You can easily go around. Yeah, there's not much rattling that ways. The interior is pretty intact because it's well made, and you can just go around cruising into this thing because you get a 4x4. And as I said, yes, the suspension works very well out here in this setup. And when you come to this engine, you get a 3-liter V6 twin-turbocharged that produces 348 horsepower, brake horsepower, and 500 Newton meters of torque, and which is why the Tank 500 now comes into play. So 500 is basically the torque numbers that you get on this thing. So this engine is mated to a 9-speed automatic gearbox that sends the power to all the 4 wheels. You can switch to the rear wheel drive or also the 4x4, whatever suits you based on the terrain and everything. And also there is an export mode that you can switch on to and then figure out what mode you are supposed to be in. So yeah, you get all sort of things out here. There's also an electronic differential in the rear and also in the front, and also a central diff lock. So there are multiple options that you can customize on this Tank 500. Every time I turn, yes, I'm below 30 kilometers per hour, so the camera switches on. It's pretty good, and the engine gearbox is an excellent combination on this. Really love this engine. It's so smooth, it's so quiet when it's cruising around, and you have the power and torque always ready all the time. And the only thing is that during some downshifts from third to second to first, the gearbox tends to be a little clunky. That's the only thing, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with this. Now currently I'm going through some very bumpy stretches, and the car, as you can see, yeah, it's rattling a little bit, but nonetheless it's doing very well. The suspensions, the damping itself is very good. You get a hard setup on this, and as a result there will be some amount of roll that you can expect from the whole setup. Now in terms of the efficiency from the engine, you get anywhere between 6 to 7 kilometers per liter on a day-to-day basis. On a longer driving you can get 7.5, which is pretty decent for a car this big, and also V6 turbocharged. So yeah, the engine will be giving you near or less that much only all the time, but again that's also pretty good. Now I'm gonna head out onto the main roads to then discuss the other nitty-gritty things about this Tank 500. So bear with me while I go out onto the main road, but let's anyways continue. Now in terms of the noise and the vibrations, there is only a bit of noise, wind whooshing that you will hear from these windows. That's the only thing, but otherwise again that's also pretty quiet because this thing comes with all-terrain tires, and yet it remains pretty quiet in here, which is pretty surprising. And the build quality itself is pretty good, which is why you tend to have a very quiet setup out here. So I'll put it in auto and let the car figure out what mode to be in, because that's an option that you also get out here. So now we are on the roads, and as I said, the engine gearbox is just wonderful. It just delivers the power effortlessly, and that's the best thing about this thing. And when you come to the suspensions on the road, that's when you start to notice some drawbacks. And the thing is that it doesn't soak up the bumps very well, and if you go very high speeds, then yes, it starts to smooth the bumps out, but otherwise you can feel all the bumps because the damping takes a little while on this thing, and as a result you can feel all of that all the time from the suspension system. But otherwise the seats are very comfortable, so you are sat in here quite comfortably, and you get the ladder on frame chassis, and which is why you can actually feel that you're driving on top of this car because the CG is quite high that way, and as is with the case with the bigger SUVs. So that sort of things that you compromise with bigger SUVs, but the response is right there. Now when you come to the steering wheel, this is again a bit vague, I would say, and it lacks a little bit of feedback. And as I said, you can change the different firmness from inside the system. You can have light, you can have comfort, or you can have the sporty setup. So I'm currently in the sporty, and then you have like good amount of steering feedback that ways, but it still lacks that sort of proper feedback that you need from the steering wheel, and it's an electronic one, which is why you can adjust all that nature of the steering. And again, you can also feel a lot of vibrations from this steering, and it's a little bit squirmy also, especially when you're braking. So when you come to the brakes, you get 4 disc brakes on this Tank 500. Unfortunately, I'm on the main road, so I can't test it, but I've tested it before, and I can tell you that they are more front biased, and which is why the car immediately tends to nosedive even with some little braking. And the pedal itself is hard and it's not very progressive, so when you press, the braking action just suddenly happens, and you have to really stomp later on so that you can stop properly. And yeah, that's the nature of those brakes. As a package, it's all there, which is what I feel, but it's just that it needs to work in unison. It's just not sometimes working together. That's the only thing. Once Tank figures that out, how to give you that, it's an amazing combination. Especially this off-road package on this thing is just very good. I'm pretty sure this car is very capable. I've been able to do some light dunes also, and it's been doing that quite well in terms of how it tackles the dunes and everything. And as you saw on the rocky patches also, it's doing quite well. Especially it keeps you in comfort inside, and that's more important. Now when you come to the noise and the vibrations, as I said, now you can hear when I'm cruising at a higher speed that there's some sort of wind whooshing from these windows. That's the only thing. And when you come to the safety systems, you get 6 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There are also 2 curtain airbags, and there's also child isofix points in both the rear seats. There's also a brilliant 360-degree camera system. Super impressed. You can select so many views from it, the rear view, front view, or the 360 view. My favorite is when the car is displayed in 3D on the screen, and then you can go around and see what's there. You can even see the chassis view, clear chassis view, so you can have a full proper view around when you're doing off-roading. So many options that you have on this thing. The only annoying thing is that there is this adaptive cruise control. The stick is given behind the steering wheel, and in order to switch it on and off, it's a bit, it's blind, so you have to just remember what sort of settings are there, and then you switch it on. And plus you can only go in a patch of like 5 kilometers in a step of that. That's the only thing. And there is also no resume button, so every time you have to go on building the speed every single time. So that's the thing about the cruise control, the adaptive cruise control. There's also blind spot warning, there is heads up display, there's ABS, there is also EBD, there's also the crawl control, yes, that you get on this Tank 500. And the ABS is something which is again one of the factors that when you brake hard, it's sort of not even, and which is why the car tends to be squirmy, which is what I feel. So those are all your safety systems. There's also lane keep assist, there's also lane departure warning, there's also one that keeps you in the center of the lane, but it's just too intrusive, I find, and just keeps correcting me very violently, so I just keep that off because I like to just maneuver it myself. And you still get that lane keep assist and all of those lane features. There's also that camera system which shows you on your screen where the traffic is and all your rear and front warnings and everything. Now when you come to the pricing of this Tank 500, so the top end variant, which is this one, is priced at 195,000 dirhams, which is approximately, because the exact price you will know at the showroom. But to be honest, there are just so many benefits that outweigh a few drawbacks on this car, and for this price point, this is a very good product. I absolutely would recommend you to check this car out, because it's worth taking a test drive and seeing it for yourself how good this car is. And it's actually unbelievable, the level of comfort, the material quality, the technology, the 4x4 systems, which is also decently capable, I would say, for 195,000 and plus 3 rows of seats. I don't know what can go wrong, because for that it's pretty good, and for that you should definitely consider this car. And there are lots of other options, I know, in this segment, but not at this price point, and not a value for money that you get from this car. So make sure to check this car out. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.